You know what I'm never gonna do? Date a man. Never again. Nope. Nope. You know, I've only ever dated two guys. One of them didn't really last a while. It was a high school relationship, to be fair. And my most recent guy I dated was for like 2 years, only 3 years, I think. And there were so many reoccurring issues in that relationship, and I had to break it off. Also, I apologize if you can hear my washing machine. I have shut the doors, but I feel like it might still come through, so if you hear that, I'm sorry, but I can't really help it. But yeah, I have many reasons why I'll never date a guy again. And I'm gonna talk about it because I feel like I'm not the only one who's experienced this. I feel like this is actually kind of a common experience with dating men. So let's talk about it. So the first reason, right, is just immaturity and the inability to communicate. It's like you try to open up a conversation with them about like something, whether it's, you know, an issue you're having in the relationship, or if like you're worried about something that, like, you know, they might be upset or something, and they just won't talk about it. They just won't. Or they'll like come up with like, or they'll just say like, oh, you know, don't worry about it and blah blah blah. They'll like just deflect and avoid like just talking about issues, and it's like, really? The whole part of a relationship is being able to communicate with the person that you're with. And if you can't communicate with me, then like, how do you expect this relationship to work? You know, like, I want you to be able to tell me if there's something that I'm doing that's wrong, and I want to be able to do the same thing for you, right? But no, for some reason, guys can't do that. And it's like, it's ridiculous. And like, I know that, like, you know, some people haven't learnt those skills. You know, society is still working on encouraging these skills, especially in men. But I don't know, it's like, after a while you just kind of lose the patience, you know, especially if you're been with someone for 2 years and they still can't fucking communicate with you. So it's just like, and like immaturity, because like I dated an older guy, right? For context, I am in my early 20s, and the guy I was with was like 11 years older than me, right? And fuck, couldn't communicate anything, right? And somehow I felt like, even though I was younger than this dude, I was the more mature one. I was making all of the like decisions in the relationship and everything. And it's like, I don't want to feel like I'm the only one doing that, because then it feels like all of the like important things in the relationship is falling solely on me, and then it starts to feel like a burden. Like, I want to be able to work with someone, right? Like like it, I'm sure everyone wants that to some extent, right? Being able to communicate and share the weight of issues that might come up in the relationship, or just, you know, in decisions about like, I don't know, going on a holiday, getting a house together, you know, it shouldn't just be on the one person, unless like you've already agreed with that. Which, you know, if you don't agree on that and one of the people is just assuming that's what's gonna happen, that's not good. Because then you have unexpected responsibilities that, you know, you didn't think were gonna be only on you, and that's not fair, right? But another reason, right? I'll never date men again, is they are extremely, oh sorry, oh my gosh, my fucking body keeps hiccuping. It's the incompetence and the laziness that so many men have, right? And like, it is ridiculous, and I know it mostly comes from not being like pushed or taught basic life skills, because it always gets put on, the like female born children. So if they have like a sister or something like that, like that's the person who will usually be taught house chores and things like that, whereas the little boys don't get that treatment unless they're like in like a one child family, right? But you'd think living on your own, right, or living with other people, like you would still develop those skills even if it's later in life, and yet so many guys just don't. They just don't. It's like they don't care about the mess that is in their house. They don't care about the smell that comes from said mess and not keeping up like the cleanliness of their house. And I don't understand how anyone can live like that. And I'm saying this as someone who had to live with someone like that in a relationship, even after I had explicitly told them before we moved in that I expect I expect him to do like the same amount of work in household chores as me. I expect it to be half and half, it to be shared equally, because that's, I grew up in a house where I had to do majority of the housework because of family reasons, right? And the other people in the house wouldn't do anything. So the last thing I want is to be in that situation again, because that will just piss me off, and it will make I literally said, if you end up not doing work, I'll make your life a living hell, because I'm telling you right now that it will drive me insane, it being in a dirty house. It will piss me off, especially if you're not going to do anything. And he was like, oh yeah, no, don't worry, I'll do it. And tell me why. Tell me why. Like, a year into the relationship, didn't do shit. I was constantly asking him to do stuff, like a basic stuff, cleaning up after himself, putting the rubbish out, vacuuming, every little thing I had to constantly ask. And I had told him multiple times throughout that first year, hey, can you put more effort in to just do things without me telling you, please? Because I shouldn't have to tell you to fucking wash the dishes or vacuum the floor. I expect you to just do it, especially if I'm working a lot and I'm not home during the day, because I can't do that shit at night with neighbors. Because, at the time we were in a unit, so we were wall to wall with people. I can't just vacuum at night, because then they'll complain about the noise, right? Didn't do anything. It would be okay for like a week, but then the next week, back to the same thing. And after a while, I just gave up on trying to tell him. Instead, I would just be pissy with him all the time, because it's like, why the fuck why do I have to repeat myself 100 times? I shouldn't have to do that. You are a fucking grown man. What, you didn't do any cleaning when you live with someone? Which, one of his siblings verified to me when they visited, because they're like, oh, good luck. And I was like, oh, great. That's what I really want to fucking hear, that the person that I've just moved in with is going to be dirty as fuck, right? Come on. And I don't understand how I put up with it. That's called rose-tinted glasses, and it makes you blindsided and deal with stuff that you wouldn't usually deal with. Isn't that so fun? But just, how can you be so lazy that you're not going to do anything? Like, genuinely. I don't understand that, right? Like, I know depression and things like that can impact how a person does things. But, like, we would talk about that, and I would ask, like, is there something going on? And he wouldn't tell me. He would say that he was fine. So, like, if he's not being honest about that, that's not on me, because I'm under the assumption that he's fine, and he's not doing it still. So, if that was the case, poor communication, and just straight up lying to me about it at that point. What am I supposed to do? Like, pretend that I can't just keep on being like, are you sure you're okay? Because then, that's just pushing like him to talk when he's clearly not going to anyway. But oh my god, no, I can't live with someone like that, because especially if they're older than me by like a significant amount of years, like my ex was, and they aren't willing to do things when they're like basically a middle-aged man and they're not doing the basic household chores. Like, oh my god, mate, what am I supposed to do with someone like that? That's definitely not a person that I want to fucking marry, I'm telling you that. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. We really need to start teaching little boys how to fucking do household work and to share the load, so that way they can be decent fucking boyfriends and husbands to their significant other, so that way they're not having to essentially mother them or like parent them in general. Because like, I didn't, like, when I get into a relationship, I don't sign up to being a fucking parent. I sign up to be, you know, like, your equal, essentially, your other half. I don't want to have to talk to you like I'm your fucking mum, because I'm not. And I think I even said that at one point in my previous relationship. I'm like, I'm not your fucking parent. Like, why are you making me act like I'm your fucking dad? Because I'm not. Don't you dare it's just so fucking frustrating. I can't do it. I know I'm swearing a lot in this relationship. Swearing a lot in this video, but it's just, it genuinely makes me mad. Like, I don't, and I see people who put up with that, and like, some people seem content with it, like they don't really care that much, like they're happy to do the extra load of work because their partner's probably doing something else that is like, I don't know, they can't do, so it's like a equal sort of thing. But then I see other people who are like, oh no, I'm fine with doing it, but then you can tell that they're not okay with it, but they're just gonna put up with it because society has like instilled the idea that men are just naturally dirty and messy and gross, and that, you know, their partner is expected to clean up after them all the time, and I'm sick of it. So, you know, to the ladies, to the gay guys, to the like NB people out there, don't settle for a man who does this shit. Don't fucking let yourself take on the burden of doing all the housework, because you'll hate your life. You will hate yourself, and it does create a lot of tension in the relationship, and you will come to resent them. I'm speaking from experience here. I'm telling you right now, you will regret it deeply. Don't let yourself convince yourself that you're okay with it when you know that you're not. You shouldn't have to put up with that. Like, it's one thing if you're stuck living with family and you have to clean up after your siblings. There's not really much you can do about that, because, you know, if you don't have money to move out, then you sure as hell can't afford to be kicked out of the house, right? So you kind of have to keep the peace in that regard, which sucks, because that was the kind of situation I was in for a while. But if you have the option and the choice, when it comes to dating people, make sure it's someone, like, don't move in with them straight away. Get, like, when you visit their house, get a feel of the kind of, like, how they take care of that house, and make sure that you have, like, long sleepovers, like, you're there for a few days and see how well they clean up after themselves. See, are they cleaning the dishes after they make dinner? Are they leaving rubbish on the ground? Are they, hell, even little things like making the bed can be giveaways on how clean this person is really when you're not there, right? Is their room like a pigsty? Because if their room is a pigsty, then the rest of the house probably usually is when you're not there, you know? Unless, like, they're living with roommates, and it's harder to tell because the roommates probably do all the cleaning up because, again, they just expect them to do it, right? They don't... It's ridiculous, but just keep it in the back of your head when you're dating these people, and make sure you don't settle for a filthy pig, okay? Don't do what I fucking did, and settle for a man who won't do anything but sit on his computer all day. And I don't care that I'm throwing shade at an ex, and I know we're not supposed to speak ill of people, but I don't care anymore, quite frankly. I quite frankly don't care, and I need to speak my truth. Anyway, another reason why I won't date a man, and this one's a bit more serious, okay? Lack of consent. Men don't understand the concept of consent, and sadly, I have had to experience this on multiple occasions, and this isn't even just in a relationship, this is like even just men in general, like out in the world that I've just encountered, hell, even family members that I've encountered. Men think that they're entitled to just touch you whenever they want and make comments about you and your body whenever they want, and it's fucking disgusting. I have never seen, like, the only time where I've seen women do that is when they're insulting you. I have never seen a woman, like in my experience, right, try and touch me, touch my groin, touch my ass, touch my chest, or anything like that without my consent. I have never experienced that. But men is like always. I've always experienced that with a man. And it's ridiculous. I've experienced that with family members. I've experienced that with like people that I knew in school I didn't even know half of them, but like I was acquainted with them, right? And then I experienced that in my previous relationship, right? And that was the worst part about that is that it was at the very start of my relationship, right? I think literally the first night we moved in together, and I don't know why I brushed it off. I think it's because like a part of me didn't want to believe that it happened, and then also I think just the situation of like we had literally just moved in, and I literally didn't have money to move out, so I was kind of stuck, so I kind of had to just accept it in a way, where this is kind of dark, so if you don't want to hear this, skip to the timestamp on screen, where I was almost asleep, and then suddenly I can feel his hand going down to like my nether regions, and I shot up awake and I sort of looked at him, and then I left the room and I had to go for a walk because like I couldn't believe what had happened, right? Because a part of me was like, was it a dream? Like, what was that? Like, did he think I was awake even though I was like laying like on him, like, because I was kind of like laying half on him and half off of him, and like I was almost asleep. I wasn't saying anything. He didn't ask. He just went to touch me without any sort of like, not even a cue or anything like that could have possibly told him that's what I wanted, right? And like he apologized, and he even admitted that he knew better. And I can't believe I stayed with a guy like that. Like, that's crazy. So don't do that. If like something like that happens like at the very start of the relationship, don't do what I did and fucking brush it off and leave it. Thankfully, nothing else happened after that. There were other issues, but I'm not going to get into those. Outside of the ones I've already talked about, because they're still really sensitive. Maybe in the future I'll talk about them. I mean, I'm still technically going to brush on them a little bit, but like I'm not going to go into depth about it like I did with that experience. But yeah, don't let something like that go, and definitely tell people about it, because I have only recently started telling people about it. Hell, I still haven't even told his like sibling about it, because I don't know if they're going to believe me, because I was with him for so long. Like, people will be like, well, you were with him for like how many years? So yeah, don't do what I did. Don't let yourself just stay with someone like that, But yeah, men just don't understand the concept of consent, and it's probably because of porn. Just saying. Anyway, yeah, that's another thing too. Fuck, don't date, like, I mean, most people are okay with it, but I'm not. But don't date someone who watches porn all the time, because they'll choose it over you, by the way. The last thing is men don't put effort into their appearance or actions half the time. Some men do, thankfully, But I'm talking like past the first date or two. Like, I personally like people who put effort into their appearance. Like, not all the time, but like a lot of the time, where, because they're taking care of themselves when they're doing that, and I think that's really attractive. I like people like that, and you know, it's good to, I think, dress up a lot because it makes you feel good a lot of the time. Because when you get like all dressed up, like really pretty, whether it's for yourself or another person, I feel like it brings just joy because you get to express yourself in a way that people don't do all the time. And if you get compliments and stuff, I feel like it also sort of just makes you feel better. But I don't know, a lot of guys that I know and a lot of guys that I've dated don't really care that much about how they look, and it's just, I don't know, it's so unappealing. Like, it's one thing to wear something casual, another thing to just look unkempt all the time, like messy hair, messy beard, you haven't showered so I can fucking smell you and you stink. It's just, no. Because, like, what do you mean I'm the only person that's, getting all dressed up and trying to look nice because I want you to look at me, right? Why, like, I want you to do the same, like, which is why I think, and I know that sounds, like, kind of messed up. Where, it's like, I want you to dress up for me so I can look at you. But, like, it's not that I don't find a person unattractive all of a sudden if they're not all dressed up. It's just, like, I don't know, just something about someone wanting to look good, like, to try and get my eyes is, like, cute. And, like, I don't know, it makes me feel wanted because it means that, like, they're putting in effort to impress me still. I want to experience that in a relationship, like, continuously, and not just randomly stop and then they just don't give a fuck anymore. Especially if, like, they still do get somewhat dressed up when you hang out with friends, but then they won't do it for you. I don't know. That's a really complex topic because there's so many different, like, variables in that. Like, or they could be depressed, or maybe they just think that like, they're just really comfortable around you, so they don't feel like they have to do it, which I get, right? But I don't know. To me, like, I want to feel like the other person is putting in just as much effort as I am when it comes to those sort of things, which is also why when it comes to a person's actions, I expect them to, like, do things without me having to ask. Like, I always had to ask for flowers in my previous relationship, even when I would, like, very plainly say that, like, oh, I like to get flowers, and, like, gifts is, like, a form of, like, a love language that I do enjoy, and I enjoy doing it in return too, right? Like, I think gift giving is such a beautiful way of showing love, whether that's, like, buying things or making things, right? Or even, like, giving in the form of, like, just setting up, like, a little, like, some time to spend with each other at home, or a walk or something like that. Like, to me, that is a form of gift giving, and I like those. I think they have way more value, than just buying pretty things or jewelry or stuff like that, right? And it's just, like, even when you explicitly tell them, like, hey, I really like this sort of thing, would you be open to doing it more? And if they say yes, and then they don't, and it's just like, and then when you bring it up, they try and pull the, well, you didn't tell me card. You didn't ask me to buy you them. And it's like, I told you this is the way that I like to be loved and appreciated. And you said, you agreed and said, yeah, that was cool. And you're not even trying? Like, what do you mean I have to ask you literally every single time when I want something? Instead of you just, surprising me, like what I've been doing with you. It's just, like, or the fact that like if you want to have like dates and stuff, if I'm the one that's stuck constantly deciding on what we do, I start to feel like the other person doesn't care. Because it's like, why am I coming up with everything? Like, isn't there something that you want to do? Like, a relationship goes both ways. If I want to do something, then there's surely something that you want to do. And it's just, and I've noticed when it comes to men, when it's something that they want to do, it doesn't involve you at all. They just basically want you to sit there and just watch them. Or like, they don't want you there at all, and they just want to have time to themselves. And it's just like, really? What, do you fucking hate me or something? Come on, man. I don't know. It's just, I don't understand it, honestly. Like, if, like, people who don't put effort in their appearance or actions is just purely unattractive to me, personally. I don't know. I like to feel like the relationship is equal, and that, you know, me and the person I'm with are putting in, you know, either the same amount or a very close, or close enough to the same, that it doesn't feel like, you know, I'm doing all the work or they're doing all the work, or, you know, I'm giving more and they're just taking, like, stuff like that, you know, it's just so frustrating. I don't get how people just don't understand that, but that's also just my opinion. This whole video is just my opinion when it comes to dating, pretty much. So it's okay if you disagree, and like I said, I know a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about kind of makes it sound a bit like I'm bitchy and whingy and very particular, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's okay to like have a specific type of person that you like to date, because I mean, like, I'll never find like someone who matches all the boxes, obviously. Like, everyone has their flaws, but people who are really close to that, like my current partner, like, you know, she's so sweet. She's like, literally, like, all of the stuff that I've been complaining about, I have none of those issues with her. Like, she is damn near perfect in my eyes. I love them very much, and they show it through, you know, all sorts of different ways. Like, they really do, like, appreciate me on such a deep level that my ex never showed me, and I love her so much for that. Because, like, you know, like, when it comes to appearance and actions, she does all of it. You know, she's constantly showing me like her different outfits, and, you know, asking my opinion on things, and she gives me so many different things, and like I'm trying to do the same back, right? Because that's the kind of love that I like, and, you know, it's an equal relationship, at least close to equal, right, in my eyes, and I love that so much. And I think, I don't know, I just think that is the best way of loving, at least for me anyway, right? Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much why I'll never date men again. I'm gonna glaze women and tell you why women are just better. Obviously, like, this doesn't apply to like anyone who's like a gay man watching right now, or anyone who just isn't attracted to women, because, like, you know, men are the only thing that you're attracted to, and that's okay. And for the most part, like, when I say like I hate dating men and things like that, I don't hate men as a whole, to be clear. It's just the idea of dating one has been so soured for me that I genuinely cannot see myself being with a man anymore. Even if like I were to find like a man attractive, I would not seek out a relationship with them, purely because of my experience with men as a whole. And that's okay, right? Because experiences shape our opinions, our thoughts, and our actions, and who we are. And for me, my experiences with men, I don't like men. I don't want to be with a man. I'm happy with just being with women. And I'm fine with non-binary people too. Unless that non-binary person starts acting like the men I've dated, then they're fucking... I'm grouping them with those men, and I am not dating them. they can be the little non-binary person that is just chilling with all the men that I refuse to date. You know. But anyway, yeah. To me, women like they have a much better way of appreciating romance and like deeper connections. I don't know. I feel like every girl that I've been with, both like just platonically and romantically, has been able to understand romance and just I don't know. They have such a better way of connecting with me that I've like experienced, where like they want to understand me more instead of just surface level things. Like they're not afraid to ask questions about like, you know, things that I like or just me as a person, and I appreciate that so much. It makes me feel so seen, and in a relationship especially, you want to feel seen, whether that's friendship or something more, you know. Like my current girlfriend, like she always like, you know, asks me all sorts of questions, like whether it's pertaining to our relationship or, you know, interests that we share, or like just my interests, or even just me as a person, and that makes me feel so loved and understood, and I can't ask for more. Like that's amazing, right? And another thing is that like I've noticed that women aren't afraid to just like be open about what they're thinking and feeling when it comes to like close relationships. Like it feels like they're more likely to actually talk about it, unlike men who just avoid the topic altogether because they assume that it will fall into an argument or something like that. But also like because men have been socialized to not really be emotionally like vulnerable as well, which is something that like they need to learn to work on, and basically like, you know, get rid of that patriarchal way of thinking out of their head. Yeah, every woman I've been with has been very honest with me about things, whether it's little things or big things. Like they're not scared to ask. Like sure, they'll be hesitant, but then they'll eventually tell you or like ask whatever it is that's on their brain. And I appreciate that so much. I think that's great. That's really good relationship skills. And of course, not all women are like this, by the way. But I'm just saying, like I said, with like men, this is just my overall experience with women, or like people who were socialized as women as well. They just, I don't know. They just seem better. But yeah. I've also noticed that women generally also put in a lot more effort when it comes to relationships and appearance, which, you know, we already know my thoughts on that. You know, that is good, and really good in my eyes, so I'm not going to go into depth about that because I basically already covered that. I think, you know, it's good. I love it so much. You know. And honestly, I've just always gotten along better with women as well. Like, despite my experiences in like primary school, because it was kind of the opposite. In primary school, I was more closer with like boys than I was with girls. Mostly because a lot of the girls that I grew up around were kind of like the mean girl types, and so I would just get bullied a lot and excluded. But as I've gotten older, it's swapped. I get along a lot better with women than I do with men, because men, some of the stuff that they talk about casually is really fucking weird, and it makes me really uncomfortable, even though like I'm a very like mask presenting person, and you know, people assume that I'm a guy when they see me and things like that, which I think is also why suddenly I'm hearing all this sort of talking, because they, you know, they're like, oh well, you're a guy too, so you obviously talk about this stuff. No, I don't, bro. What the hell's wrong with you? But yeah, like, honestly, I've always connected with women better, and it's probably because I was socialized as a girl, like, when I was younger. So I understand, like, the experience of being a girl and a woman in today's, like, day and age. You know, I know what it's like to have a period, I know what it's like to be harassed by men daily, you know, being touched by men inappropriately, the comments, you know, everything like that. And I know like how women, like female relationships work and things like that, because, you know, I was one of them at one point. So I think that also it just makes me feel a bit more understood as well when I date like a woman, because, or like someone who's experienced being a woman as well, because like it's just that extra little deeper understanding of like my life and where I've come from, which I don't know, I just feel really seen. I'm kind of saying the same thing over and over again right now because I mean, I don't really know how else to word it. But yeah, like it's good. I don't know. I just think women are better when it comes to relationships personally. So overall, basically, what I'm just saying is that like this is my experience, in my opinion, and everyone is different. Everyone's experience and opinions are different, and that's okay. You're allowed to disagree with me. You're allowed to talk about it if you want to. If you have a specific question or want me to clarify something because I'm terrible at wording things, let me know. I can try and explain it to the best of my abilities. And I know I'm using heavily gendered language in this video, but I should probably have used the word male-aligned people and female-aligned people instead of like male and female, or woman and man, and things like that. Or even AMAB and AFAB. But in my experience, AMAB, like non-binary people who were assigned male at birth, are very different from like men who are like cisgender. So that's kind of why I just stuck with the way I gendered everything. So I apologize if that does make you uncomfortable, but I specifically mean cisgender men, and that's why, like I said, like in the middle, like roughly in the middle of the video, where I was like, but if you're a non-binary person who does act like the men, then you will be grouped with those men, but not as a man, just in how you behave, right? But anyway, it's getting really convoluted when I try and explain it that way. But you know what I mean. It's all I'm saying, right? But yeah, I hope you found this video interesting. I know people are like, you shouldn't talk about like personal stuff online, but also I feel like to some degree it does help people who might be in similar situations or experience similar things, so they don't feel as alone. And yeah, like I purposely kept my ex vague. I only referred to him by pronoun and the title as my ex, because I'm obviously not going to name the person, but I'm also not going to give out any more information about that relationship until I feel like it, or if I feel like it is needed for what I'm talking about, right? Like maybe one day I'll do like a story time about like the whole thing with my ex, but it's still kind of fresh. We only broke up earlier this year, so I am not going to talk about it anymore. I have been blessed with a beautiful girlfriend, and I love her very dearly, and she knows it, and she's probably watching this video. So yeah. Anyways, I don't know if I'm going to record another video after this. See what happens, see if I get bored enough.